Have you ever been scrolling through Disney Plus and just thought that something was missing? Maybe a TV show or film that you watched as a kid was being locked away in a secret Disney vault. Did you know that Disney Plus allows 7 user profiles per account with the ability to stream on 4 devices concurrently and unlimited downloads for offline viewing? Y'all ready for this? Uh-oh. You won't believe these 10 Disney films that you currently can't watch on Disney Plus. I saved the best video for last because even though you can't watch this film on Disney Plus, you can still visit the land and attraction at the Disney parks. But first, a word from our sponsor, By and Large. Do you have a planet covered in trashed Amazon products? Well, check out our Jeff Bezos looking yacht spaceship thing. With our yellow R2-D2 robots. They love trash, just like your ex. Anyways, this spaceship is your new home now because living on the planet is for poor people. Come get your butt rubbed by robots. Check out our space pool. Bet you don't have one of these. Here's our captain. He's 1/10 Puerto Rican. This isn't green screen. We are living in space. Ask your grandma. We even support alcoholism. No AA here, folks.
Because at B&L, space is the final frontier.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Indiana Jones. The Indiana Jones franchise is a popular and classic action-adventure film that stars Harrison Ford and is directed by Steven Spielberg. The Indiana Jones movies consist of uncovering secrets, fighting Nazis, snakes, and saving the day. It doesn't get much better than that. When it comes to the original films, Paramount Pictures still owns the distribution rights, which is why we might not ever see the original films on Disney Plus. However, in 2012, Disney acquired Lucasfilms and therefore inherited the production and distribution rights for the future of Indiana Jones franchise. This will allow for any future films to potentially show up on Disney Plus, such as the new film that is set to be released in 2023. For a while, the original movies were available on Paramount Plus, but were removed at the end of 2021. It's speculated that this could be due to the new movie that will soon be released on Disney.
Now dare to cross forbidden boundaries to the ultimate adventure. Come on!
What's interesting is that prior to Disney acquiring Lucasfilm, George Lucas collaborated with Disney to bring Indiana Jones themed attractions to the Disney parks around the world, and the first of which is Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular that appeared in 1989 in Hollywood Studios at Walt Disney World.
And action! Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. George Lucas.
Producer George Lucas joined Disney Chairman Michael Eisner in the official opening of the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. The Epic Stunt Spectacular places the audience in a real-life action adventure with one of the big screen's newest heroes, Indiana Jones. Preparations for the opening of the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular began many months ago in Los Angeles, where scenes from the show were initially created and rehearsed. The outdoor show features enormous sets and truly epic-sized stunts. High points include a giant stone ball and an airplane, the Flying Wing, and it's all straight from one of the most exciting series of adventure films of all time, Indiana Jones.
We're really basing this show on the Indiana Jones character, and we're trying to keep as much of his idiosyncrasies as possible.
The oversized theater holds 2,000 seats and is 250 feet across. The show, which takes place on a gigantic outdoor set, is one to behold.
It's an exciting show, no doubt about it. It's an outdoor theater show which really doesn't exist as a form.
The Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular creates a new world in adventure attractions.
And the show is still performed today. This early collaboration between George Lucas and Disney parks could be the reason why some people confuse Disney's involvement with the films. The BFG. The BFG is based off a children's book. The film was directed by Steven Spielberg and released in 2016. Similar to the novel, the movie is about a 10-year-old girl who befriends the big friendly giant. Together, they travel to a giant country to stop man-eating giants from invading the human world. And though the critics liked the movie, moviegoers didn't. It barely made enough money than it cost to make it, and by Hollywood standards, it was a flop. This is the likely reason Disney Plus doesn't stream it, but no one really knows why. The BFG is not on Disney Plus. When Disney Plus first launched, you could watch the film. However, it was mysteriously removed from Disney Plus, and now you can only watch it on Netflix. The sudden removal of the film may have happened because of an existing contract that was previously created before Disney Plus began streaming. Another reason the BFG might not be on Disney Plus right now is that Disney does not have full distribution rights for the film. It's unknown when the film will be released. Currently, it is not a part of any streaming service, but hopefully it will eventually be re-released onto Disney Plus in the future. Hook. Chances are one of your childhood experiences was seeing Disney's animated movie Peter Pan. The 1991 release of Hook was supposed to be that long-awaited sequel to the original story.
Captain Hook will never miss one Coke.
Keep it shut. The Lost Boys could be anywhere.
Oh no! It's them!
I got it!
Captain Hook! The last Coke in Neverland!
Starring Robin Williams, this adventure film followed the story of Peter Pan, but as a boring adult with no memory of his childhood past. Captain Hook kidnaps his children and brings them to Neverland. Throughout his journey searching for his children in Neverland, Peter is able to remember his childhood memories. Hook was originally supposed to be produced by Walt Disney Production. This film has very loose association with Disney. In the early 80s, Steven Spielberg began working with Walt Disney Studios to develop the film that would have been the continuation of the story of the Peter Pan after Disney's animated film. However, at a certain point, Spielberg dropped off the project and it was then taken over by Paramount Pictures. Paramount approached a different direction for the project. Yet again, rights to the movie were moved to TriStar Pictures. During this time, the plotline of Hook was transformed into the movie we know today. Eventually, Spielberg made his way back to the project and ultimately directed the film. Although Hook is a film about the childhood favorite character Peter Pan, Hook is not a Disney film. While you can't stream Hook on Disney Plus, currently it's available on Hulu. Oh, did I mention that Disney owns Hulu?
Now, experience the all-new adventure of a lifetime as the classic story continues. Join us for a sneak peek behind the scenes of the production of Walt Disney's Dumbo II.
Dumbo II. Dumbo II was supposed to be the sequel to the original 1941 Dumbo movie and was set to be released back in 2001. However, the production of the movie was delayed countless times until the former CEO of the Walt Disney Animation Studio, John Lasseter, canceled it altogether. Although Dumbo II was officially canceled, there are trailers, scenes, and storyboards that are available to the public. Unless Disney decides to revisit the film project, we probably won't ever see a Dumbo 2. However, there are plans in 2030 for what will be called a Disney animated canon, and Dumbo 2 is set to be included in that hand-drawn animation film. So now, just gotta wait 8 more years.
When you put a Disney sing-along video on, magical things begin to happen.
Disney sing-along song videos were a childhood favorite to anyone that grew up in the 1990s. These were lyric videos of songs from some of our favorite classic Disney movies, with some taking place at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. The original volume series was released in 1986, with the last volume released in 2006. These sing-along films were on VHS and DVD, but if you're looking for them today, they are probably easiest to find on YouTube. But why are they not available on Disney Plus? Could be because the videos feature promotional shots of the Disney parks, which would be outdated for today's viewers. However, starting in 2022, Disney has begun to release a series of sing-along versions of their most popular animated movies that are currently only available on Disney+. What About Bob? What About Bob is a comedy film released in 1991 starring Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss. This film was released by Disney's Buena Vista Pictures. The film had an immediate positive response by critics and ended up being Buena Vista's highest grossing film of that year. There's a very simple reason why What About Bob will never be streamed on Disney+. Due to the tension on the set during filming and many clashing personalities, the set was a toxic work environment. This probably has to do with a lot with Richard Dreyfuss. He sued Disney in 2015 for what he believed were lost profits. The lawsuit likely stemmed from the fact that the movie studio refused to hire the auditor Dreyfuss wanted to work with. Although What About Bob was produced by Touchstone Pictures, Disney began to lose interest in Touchstone Pictures and are even in talks about selling it. Today, the film production label is still inactive, but there are currently a bunch of Touchstone produced movies that you can watch on Disney Plus today. I don't know, but my guess is that any movie that results in a lawsuit is not one that's going to be made available on Disney Plus. Grey's Anatomy. Having launched in 2005, Grey's Anatomy remains on the air through 2022. The series is an ABC network show, and while ABC is a part of the Walt Disney Company, ABC has signed a deal with Netflix. This is a perfect example of Disney having to honor contracts that were developed prior to the existence of Disney Plus. You can, however, watch the most recent episodes of Grey's Anatomy on Hulu. Luckily, anyone watching Disney Plus internationally can stream Grey's Anatomy on Disney Plus today. Labyrinth. Released in theaters in 1986, Labyrinth found its fan base long after its box office debut. The movie didn't do as well in theaters, but when it was released on VHS and DVD, it finally became popular. Labyrinth is a cult classic film starring David Bowie and was brought to life by Jim Henson and George Lucas. The Labyrinth is a musical fantasy type movie about a 16-year-old girl who travels to the center of another world to rescue her infant brother from the Goblin King. It's unclear why Labyrinth is not available for streaming on Disney Plus. Since Disney acquired the movie in 2013 after the Lucasfilm acquisition, one reason may be because TriStar Pictures, aka Sony Motion Pictures Group, were the one that distributed the movie in 1986. But a lot of Jim Henson movies are currently on Disney Plus to watch. Because of its cult classic status, the association with Jim Henson, it would make sense for it to appear on Disney Plus. Captain EO. Many die-hard Disney fans may be a little more familiar with Captain EO. It was a 3D science fiction film starring Michael Jackson. It was originally made as a part of an in-theater attraction for Disney parks that featured additional special effects like lasers and fogs, and it ran in the parks from 1986 to 1998. And it made only one televised appearance on MTV in 1996. In 2010, Captain EO made a reappearance at the Disney parks, but only for a short period. Over the course of several years, it was replaced in the parks for other various film-based attractions. The last was in November of 2015 when it was replaced in Epcot for the Disney and Pixar Short Film Festival. Captain EO is a short science fiction film that stars Michael Jackson as Captain EO with George Lucas as its executive producer. Michael Jackson also wrote the music and did all the choreography. Given the star power behind the film, it was estimated to cost $30 million to produce. When measuring the cost per minute of its 17-minute runtime, it was the most expensive film ever made at that time. Captain EO and his crew travel through space where they're suddenly captured by the Supreme Leader. With the power in song and amazing dance moves, Captain EO and his crew were able to escape onto their ship and fly back into space. It's no surprise that many old school Disney fans are questioning why the short is not on Disney Plus. With such a star-studded cast and deep budget, why does Disney no longer acknowledge it? And why is it not on Disney Plus? No one actually knows for sure, but there's a couple possible explanations. The first reason would be simple issues over licensing the content. Michael Jackson's estate is not super friendly with the Disney company as a whole, and actually sued ABC in 2015 over unauthorized use of material in a documentary. It could be that Disney is simply not allowed to use the content because they don't have complete control over it. I, however, don't believe that's the case. Disney is very often careful and controlling with their content, especially things that are used in the theme parks. Since the movie was made with the involvement of the Disney Imagineers specifically to be an attraction in Epcot and Disneyland, I believe Disney would have every right to use the film however they please. The second and more likely explanation is the muddied image of Michael Jackson. Ever since the finding of Neverland films and these acquisitions that have never been proven or entirely disproven, so many people have different opinions on the matter. Regardless of the truth, whether innocent or guilty, Disney as a company has been very reactive to pressure from audiences. You may even seen the warnings before on certain films on Disney Plus, including like classics Peter Pan, Dumbo, Lady and the Tramp, Jungle Book, and some Simpsons episodes featuring Michael Jackson have been removed on Disney Plus. All of this is to say that Disney is falling over itself to ensure anything even remotely objectable in terms of culture representation, behavior, or attitudes is kept off their platform. And they seem to believe that Michael Jackson, Captain EO, fits the bill.
It was an invitation that never went out because a damn party got canceled. You are not supposed to do anything. Part of something special. Like you were special. But you're not.
Originally titled 1952, the Tomorrowland film is as Disney as it gets since it's based on a theme land that exists within the Disney parks. This begs the question to why was it removed from Disney Plus? It was originally available on Disney Plus up until October of 2021, in which it was removed without explanation. This begs the question as to why it was removed from Disney Plus after only 1 month of being there. Typically, when an original Disney movie is removed from Disney Plus, they will return the movie to the streaming service if fans petition against its removal. Unfortunately, the fan base for Tomorrowland is simply not big enough. The good news is, for those who are fans of the movie, it is available to stream on Starz. Am I the only Disney fan that is waiting on the edge of my seat for the grand return of Tomorrowland? Such a great movie. If you're a Disney content creator and you're looking for Disney-style music, I offer royalty-free music, so go ahead and check it out and make sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.